Hello, everyone. Welcome to Freelance Latin America. We're doing this series of interviews, of special interviews, and we have our guest today is Araceli Higueras, a leadership and business transformation expert. Araceli has lived in 4 countries, speaks 6 languages, and has an impressive career in training, development, consulting, and business operation. Her experience spans from boards and groups of students, employees, women, schools, and NGOs to commercial leadership teams. So she is a really intelligent person that we're interviewing today. Welcome, Araceli. It's a pleasure to have you with us. To begin with, could you please tell us a little bit more about yourself, about your professional background, and your focus on leadership and conscious business?
Hi, everyone. I'm very glad to be here. So thanks, Freelance Latin America, for having me. My background, I've already been briefly introduced, so I may repeat myself a little bit, but I've been able to work while I was working for the same company for about 20 years. I was able to change roles and change countries. So the first 4 years at the end of my university degree, I lived in 4 countries, but afterwards I stabilized a little bit and I stayed in the UK where I currently reside and moved around from several client-facing roles. Leadership for me goes beyond what a manager does. It's more of a personal characteristic, and it involves a lot of role modeling, and it involves a lot of making yourself available to your community and to each other, because I don't believe we can succeed by ourselves. We need each other, and that's what I try to do for other people.
I agree. I agree with everything that you're saying. Modern leaders must be able to inspire and motivate their teams. In the current structure of how would you suggest and how should a leadership team be conferred by?
The main points that we can assign to people. So my first answer was oriented towards company. If we talk about humans, we're talking about people who can make sure that they display a behavior that shows that they have integrity. We know that when you are a manager or a leader, you have access to certain information that is not for public access. But other times, people hide things that make others feel vulnerable, and there's no need for that. So transparency and integrity is very important. It builds trust. There's also the concept of servant leadership. I heard about this from agile perspective. So when you train as part of software development teams, that's quite important. But you need to put the emphasis on serving other people. Of course, you are their leader, but you are a leader who can remove obstacles and who can serve a high diverse number of stakeholders, and you are enabling them. So it's not about putting pressure, it's about prioritizing their needs and making it easy for them to be successful. If you are able to allow people to make decisions at the level where they can take action, as an organization, we are in a much better place. So being able to collaborate and empower people to make decisions displays this sort of behavior. And then there are topics like diversity and inclusion that are very important, and emotional intelligence. So we don't have, just because you become a manager or the official leader of a group or an organization, that doesn't mean you have matured as a person. So only a true mature person can deal with being in this position, in my opinion.
I would like to hear more about what you think. If we look back at how leadership teams were before, their empowerment is not a word that was used 20 years ago. And inclusion, it wasn't even also a word that is very popular. It's now, what can we say about this? What do you think about how it has evolved to this current day?
The transformation that you describe, so comparing now to 20 years ago in some countries, is a shift along those sort of cultural dimensions. It's not one change, it's multiple changes. So what surprises me is that not all countries move at the same time, and we are not on the same place in the spectrum at the same time, year and month, etc. And we don't evolve the same way either. We go back and forth, and sometimes we think we're making progress, and then a group that did not accept the change pushes back in power and makes us give back all the land that we have conquered. I don't think I have a very good answer, to be honest, because I'm not very confident that we are able to sustain constructive progress. I have
There's a
seen
lot of
things
work
go
to do.
backwards. I have seen things go backwards, so it makes me really worry. Well, worry. I mean, I sleep at night. Don't take me wrong, but it makes me really worry about humans. I don't think we are capable of making sustainable progress as a race, as a group. I'm not very confident, and I don't understand why, when we have strong role models in one country or in one area of our society, other people don't see it and they want to hold back so much. And
Yeah.
I don't want to be politically incorrect, but this happens obviously from country to country. It happens with some religious groups. Even in the same religion, you have the more radical religious people and the ones who can sustain faith, but they don't need to control their members so much. And I, I, I didn't grow up with such control because my parents, so I come from Barcelona. My parents sent me abroad when I was 11. So I started going abroad very early. My maternal grandparents went through the Civil War and they lived in the post-war. My mom grew up in the post-war. They went through the whole dictatorship of Spain. So families give hold all these memories and give them to you, even if it's not your personal experience. And equally, they had spoken about the Second Republic and what a difference it made to be part of that republic. And then they lost everything and they went back to a dictatorship for I don't know how many years. So I think we are capable of destroying so fast. Sorry, I went off track.
But no, I mean, this is a great story because, I mean, you're talking from your point of view, from your history, from all your experiences, and now you are able to stand and look at your all the history that your grandparents have been to, your parents, and now you're able to make a difference. You're here, you wrote a book, you're a person who can help others and actually empower people because that's a great work and I really like it. And also talking about what we do in freelance, if we look at the leadership team, they're mostly women too. And there's something that I'm speaking from my point of view that I'm from a Latin American country, which, there's when we're talking about the culture. So I can say from our culture is not that very normal. That's why I look back and we look back 20 years ago and it was a really different landscape. So now we are having more information and more abilities, and people can actually believe more in themselves. And that's something that I really love about all the things that all the things that we talk about. You also talk about the things like this. So I feel connected to what you're saying. How would you say can companies effectively implement new leadership strategies and become more conscious?
I've been part of several change projects, and I don't think the only way that I have seen change really happens is when people can align behind the why, the purpose, because when you prepare to transform, and in this case it would be like you want um, people to follow a higher purpose. You want them to become conscious of their behaviors, to embrace these values, to be transparent, to be fair, to show respect. But I've never seen that you can set a framework and you can set goals and then magically you achieve them. You need to know what you want to do. You need to know what you want to do, how you will know that you have achieved that, so you can be sure that you have achieved it. And then you need to be extremely flexible about it, so you are measuring and changing and so on. And this can be very draining for people. It's tiring. You think you're going to do it in 3 steps, something happens. There's COVID, there's a war, there's a change in taxes, there's a change in interest rates. You had debt and now you have 1.5 year debt because you have to pay more interest. I'm just saying your supplier changes. There's always things happening. Somebody is sick, somebody has a child, So you need to then say, okay, now with the resources available to me now, with what I know, do I still want to go there, or do I now want to achieve something else? And if you want to still go there, then yeah, you see, sorry, I don't have a straight answer. I have a long answer.
No, I understand. And I was relating so much with what you said because we are in my career, I've been experimenting so many changes, and it's something that this year has been like super revolutionary for me because I have learned so many things and I have to adapt so to new things, and then we have this new advisor, that we have this new product, we have this new program, this new team, and it's been a lot. I mean, especially for people, because people need to adjust to all the changes and all the adaptations that the companies are doing. I mean, it can be a lot for many people that are not like used to changes. I like changing and I like to be adapted, but it also has to have a healthy pace for everyone to be able to absorb and to get in aligned with those changes. So, and that's something that I have learned this year. And group team, and be able to talk to my managers, to my colleague managers, and feel supported. That's also a really good thing that I can like take from all of these new things that we've been going through in the company. So I'm going to do just two final questions.
Okay.
You mentioned about leaders like effectively transmitting like this sense of equality and of value to the rest of the team. How would you suggest is the best way for them to do it?
I'm afraid I don't think there is a one answer and one formula that serves everybody. I have seen people that respond very well to friendly treatment. Obviously, I have seen and heard and read people describing working relationship in friendly terms and also feeling that you're part of a family and so on. Unfortunately, companies need to take sometimes like a journey or a path that breaks up with employees. And also, when I'm working, because of my personality, we have this touchy feely type of culture, and I like hugging people in the office. I caress them when I talk to them. This sort of close physical relationship is very important for me, but other people need distance. Other people feel harassed, might be too strong, but intimidated when you look at them. I live in the UK. It was such a shock when people felt intimidated if I was looking at them in the eyes. While for me, not looking at you in the eyes, it's a lack of respect. How do you
How do
talk
you
to that?
connect?
It's
How
the
do you
opposite.
connect that?
Exactly.
Exactly.
So I don't think, and the same happens. Like there are. So when I joined work, I was in my early 20s, and now I'm in my mid 40s. So now I have children. They are older, and now I'm starting to go back to my early 20s behavior. But the point is, you don't have the same free amount of free time. You don't have you can't behave the same way even with the company and with the colleagues, to go out with them, to bond. The company needs to find different ways of achieving that with people that are in different stages of their life and can give something different and also expect something different because they are different.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your book? Why did you wrote it, and why motivate you to do it?
I found myself at the end of my 20 years journey in this company with time to write during the confinement. So it was the perfect moment. But also, I had been doing some reflecting on my journey, and I had the luxury to have been trained to become a coach and work part time as a coach. So I had been working with more than 70 groups. I had been involved in some management development programs and so on, and I had learned from that. And because of the way my brain works and how I've been training for other things with business analysis, user experience, systems thinking, clean language, what have you. So my brain was full of of ideas, and I really wanted to put it together when I was again looking for work, and it was outside of the big corporation where I wanted to have a way to demonstrate some of this learning and to have a tool that other people could use by themselves. So that's the motivation. Yeah, it's a self-help guide. It's supposed, so the work that another person who accompanies you and who enables you to find clarity in a transformation journey can be described in several steps, and I broke down the steps, and I encourage people, there are 7 chapters, and I encourage people to think through 3 lenses. Work has to start with yourself, so there is an I section in every chapter. We said at the beginning, I don't think you can survive by yourself or do everything by yourself. You need allies. So there's a you section. So it's always about engaging somebody else and joining forces. And then there's another section that it's the they section. Very often there's influence, there's decision making that happens outside of your remit, behind closed doors. So I encourage you throughout this journey to go through these 3 lenses and work to become successful. But I also focus quite a lot on sustainability. So I care about health, I care about happiness, and I care about sometimes what I learned to call this cruising. So staying in a state, so you are not always greedy for more and more. Sometimes leaving things as they are is good enough. You don't have to constantly make progress in every single aspect of your life. There are times to push and times to let go and enjoy or cope. So sustainability and health is quite important. So I'm not pushing people, only from time to time.
I would really love to read your book because I'm in that exact moment of my life. Thank you for all your time, for having this conversation with us. I really appreciate everything you taught us today.
Thank you for having me. The pleasure was mine.